Hi there, this scrapbooker is going to make a card. I have some dies and stamps from Lawn Fawn, and I also have the So Happy Together collection by Echo Park and Capture Life, also by Echo Park. I have those in 6x6, and I'm just pulling out a couple of pattern papers that I think might make nice wallpapers for the card I'm going to make. I have a bunch of Lawn Fawn stamps here. My jumping off point is the Let's Toast stamp set. I also have Love You a Latte. I have Love and Breakfast, and I have Hey There. Those are the ones I'm going to be drawing from. I also pulled out On the Mend and Sweet Friends, although I won't be actually using those. This is a 6x6 paper pad of Lawn Fawn paper, and I just saw it sitting over in my Raskog, and I like these plaid papers for tablecloths, and I decided to go with the Tone on Tone brown just because it's pretty neutral and it'll make a nice basically I'm looking for something that's going to look like a table, so it makes a nice tablecloth, I think. So I'm just going to build my scene with the stamps themselves. This is the way that I like to do it because I don't make enough cards to feel really confident with the scale of my stamps and how they're all going to fit together. So I like just kind of sitting them out like this so that I have a sense of how I'm going to fill the space. And what I wanted to do for this particular card is I wanted to make a really crowded countertop scene. And I've seen a couple of these online, and I wanted to recreate them because I have lots of Lawn Fawn stamp sets that have various kitchen and household types of items. I was thinking about using those arms and legs that basically give arms and legs to all kinds of little things, but I decided not to. I thought it would be a little bit too crowded if I did that with all the items. I am going to be putting some faces on these. Now the Hey There collection, this stamp set that I'm drawing from right here, basically I wanted to have something alive on the table. They're all going to have faces, but I wanted some actual critters, and so I took the mama bird and the little baby bird. At the last minute, I decided I just needed a little something else to fill some space, so I took a tiny little muffin from the Love and Breakfast set, and I love the little salt and pepper shakers from the Love and Breakfast set, so I always use them at any chance I have. They're probably my most used stamp set from that collection, or from that stamp set. Now I have my Misty tool. I have my little mini Misty. I have a couple of stamping tools, and I just keep coming back to my Misty. I don't know, I'm just familiar with them, so I find my Misty tools pretty easy. I do like the Tim Holtz one as well. I have both of them in both sizes. Oh, and I also have the Misty in the really big size too. So. Now here I just pulled out another stamp. You see I pulled out that blob stamp. I thought it was, I don't know what I was thinking. I thought it was the frosting for the Pop-Tart. Obviously the Pop-Tart already has frosting on it, so I'm not sure what I was thinking there, but I am stamping. It took me, this is why I love a stamp positioner, because you can stamp multiple times. I hadn't seasoned my stamps, so they're particularly sticky, and they needed a couple of stamps there to get that one going. There I am realizing that that's actually the jam for the toast, which my toast is going to be coming out of the toaster, so I don't want jam on my toast. So I am going to stamp this on a Post-it note, making a big mistake there. I forgot I actually moved the stamp off of my Misty tool, so I ended up putting the Post-it note in the wrong place. Now I'm going to mask off this Pop-Tart because I'm actually going to place it on a plate. It's going to be standing upright on a plate, which is kind of weird, but it's what happened, so that's what we're going with. So basically, you do masking anytime that you want to layer your stamps together in a realistic kind of a way, and the thing that you make the mask for is the thing that's on the top layer. So my Pop-Tart will be on the plate, so I had to stamp and mask my Pop-Tart first, and then stamp the plate. So the rule for that is you mask the thing that is on the top. So there you go. As you can see, it looks kind of weird with the mask on it, but as soon as you take the mask off, you've got this really nice Pop-Tart standing on a plate. And here I'm just figuring out which plate I have. There's plates in 2 of my stamp sets, and I just wanted to make sure I didn't get them mixed up, but they are identical, so no need to worry about that. Now, I do hang on to my masks when I do make them, which isn't all that often. Now, I changed my mind here. I cut out some of the footage because I had been stamping using archival ink because I was planning to do some watercoloring, but I changed my mind and decided to do Copic coloring instead. So now I'm using Memento ink and I'm just restamping those. Sorry about that. I actually thought I had already edited out some of this footage so that it wasn't so repetitive, but here you'll get to see me reuse that little stamp, or that little mask, and restamp the Pop-Tart with the cute little plate on it. As you can see, I added a face. And that is from the toaster set. I think it's called Let's Toast. Yes, it is. The Pop-Tart is from that, but it doesn't come with a plate. The plate is from the Love You a Latte set, and there's also a plate in the Sweet Things. Is it called Sweet Things? Sweet Friends stamp set as well. So I'm going to add the toast, and I am making 2 cards here, so that's why I'm doubling up everything. And you could make lots and lots of cards here just by, I really like shifting my paper 180 degrees like this so that I can get twice the stamping with one position of the stamp. And if I wanted to make 4 cards, I would just have a second piece of paper the same size on the go, or, you know, as many as I wanted. I could have that many pieces of paper. And so, as you see, I'm just stamping out all of these images, and I decided to just leave all this footage in because with my scrapbooking, I tend to be a show all the process kind of a gal. So I'm going to show all the process with my card as well. Card making is a little bit more repetitive than scrapbooking, but oh well, I decided to leave it in. These cute little faces come on the Let's Toast stamp set from Lawn Fawn, and they're so cute. They've got little different sized faces and different options because some of the items are large and some of them are medium and some of them are tiny. I especially adore this little pad of butter that I'm stamping right now, and then there's this teeny weeny little face to put in it. It's so cute. I didn't think I liked faces on things until I started putting faces on things, and then I realized I actually do really like that look. So that Let's Toast collection or stamp set is my very favorite new stamp set. It's the newest one that I have. I just got it the other day, and I adore the little avocado. My daughter eats a lot of avocados. I'm not too fond of avocados, but my daughter eats a lot of them, and we buy them like crazy. We are always going through them. So putting the little face, don't worry, I didn't put it upside down. There you go. See? And I really love that you can just kind of position that face once and then you just flip the card over and it's in the right spot for the second stamp as well. This makes stamping so much fun. I really love filling up a piece of paper like this. This is not the greatest Copic coloring paper. This is Copic Express paper, and I pre-cut a whole bunch of it to 5 by 4 1/4 so that I could have some on hand for stamping like this. And then I realized I really don't like Copic coloring with this paper. I also use Nina Solar White, and I really like that a lot better. But since I had this all cut up, I'm just using it to use it. I found a whole package of it that I had bought quite some time ago. And I just find that my Copic colors just don't blend all that well with it. Maybe I'm just not that good at coloring, but it seems like I used to be better. And so I'm blaming the paper, not myself. So we'll see when I'm through all this paper and I take out my Nina Solar White and start using that. Hopefully my Copic coloring skills will magically improve. And if they don't, then we'll know that I was erroneously blaming the paper. But I'm pretty sure that what I've been getting lately is not, like, there has to be a reason for your coloring to just out of the blue stop working. So anyhow, that's fine. I'm going to put a plate under this cup as well. So here I go with the Post-it note mask again. And I have a brand new Brother Scan and Cut. And so I am just, look at that little mustache. So the Love You a Latte stamp set also has little faces to put on the little coffees if you want to. And I love that little mustache man. He's so cute. So here is the cutting mat for my Scan and Cut. My daughter had been using it, so it's got little tiny pieces of art paper on it. And I'm just going to take that off to my Scan and Cut. And if you're curious to see how it works, just stay tuned, because the next time I do a mask, I'm actually going to show it. But it only took a second to do that. At first I thought maybe I should just fussy cut this, but you know, I have a new toy to play with. So I decided to use it, and it's actually quite a bit faster to just cut the mask with my Scan and Cut. So again, I masked the cup because it's the top layer. I want the cup to be on the plate, so that works out really well. I really like how that looks. It's really cute. And as you can see, I have dies for all of these stamp sets. I have dies for almost all of the stamp sets that I own from Lawn Fawn. I'm kind of regretting that because I adore my Scan and Cut, and it turns out I really didn't need to buy all those dies. Oh, that kills me because they're so much more expensive. They're more expensive than the stamp sets even. So what am I adding here? What is this last thing? Oh yes, I felt like I needed something else for my scene. So I decided to stamp out the bacon and eggs, and now I'm going to stamp out a mask for the bacon and eggs. Put those back. I'm trying to put back my stamps as soon as possible because I'm working with so many sets. I really don't want to get my pieces all mixed up. So there, I put it on the Scan and Cut, and it just scans in. And then as you can see, it's just going to cut out around the Post-it note, which isn't what I really want. I didn't make the thing small enough. So there you just have to identify what space you want your machine to look at. So now it's looking at only the blue Post-it note. And as you can see, it put a little outline around the bacon and eggs, and that's what I wanted to cut. This only took a few seconds. It took a little bit longer because I didn't frame it quite small enough, and I had to do that twice. But look at how quickly that happened. That was only on 2 times the speed. So it took like, I don't know, 2 minutes, 1 minute, 2 minutes maybe, altogether, including my little mistake. So now I want the bacon and eggs to be on the plate. So again, with the masking of the bacon and eggs, and I just wanted to position it so that a little tiny smidgen of the egg kind of goes outside of where the plate is. Oh, I think those look so cute. I really love it. And I'm just using my Stamp Chamois by Lawn Fawn to clean up my stamps when I'm done with them. I really like that more than a baby wipe because baby wipes were leaving my stamps with all kinds of little fibers and stuff. So I did color these off screen because I'm not the greatest colorer. I don't think I have many tips or anything to share with you guys about that. And my paper, as I mentioned, doesn't really blend all that well. So anyhow, I just randomly chose, I wasn't very careful about my color schemes or anything. Here you're going to see my Scan and Cut in action. And so you start by just entering your mat, just like you do with the Cameo. So you just, there you go. I'm just doing a little demo there. So it just scanned it, and now I have to make sure, because I've been using this thing like crazy since I got it, so it's not very sticky. I have to re-stick it or do something to clean it. There's something that you can do, but anyhow, my stuff isn't sticking to it all that well. So you're going to see me use my fingers to hold things down. That's not something that you always need to do, but I need to do it today. So what I did was I just framed it, and then it... Oop, there you go. It's as quick as that. I'm just trying to not get my fingers in the way there. And as you can see, it's not very noisy. I think I left the volume on here so that you could see. So you see, it's a little noisy, but it's not nearly as noisy as my Silhouette Cameo. It's a little bit quieter than that. And it's not as musical as the Cameo either. The Cameo makes all kinds of different pitches and tones as it's cutting. So I think I'm pretty sure those are going to stick now. I might have been just a little bit paranoid, but I spent all that time coloring. I really didn't want those papers to move. You'll notice I actually took out one of the toasters. My Scan and Cut wasn't reading the toaster, so I just took it off. I think it's just something about it, like not being high enough contrast or something. The scanner just wouldn't read that one toaster. It read everything else, but... So there you go. That took maybe 2 or 3 minutes. There's my toaster that didn't get cut by my Scan and Cut. So I'm just going to run that through the die cut machine just so that I knew that I didn't want the white outline on it, but I thought I'd just show you that this would be what I would be doing for all of my die cuts if I didn't have my Scan and Cut or I wasn't using my Scan and Cut today. So I would have just put the dies on all of those and attached it with washi tape and run it through, and then I'd have to take them all off and put them all on the second copy and run them all through. And so I think it would have taken longer to do that than it did to run it through my Scan and Cut. This is just the slot for the toaster, and I do plan to have a piece of toast coming out of it, so I wanted to make sure that I put the little slot in. I could have just cut it with an X-Acto knife, which is what I'm going to do for the other one. So watch this. Look at that. It cuts perfectly and it cuts right on the line. So the last time that I love doing these crowded scenes, I have a fish tank card that I did that was a really crowded scene as well with all kinds of fish and plants and stuff in it. And what I found with those little, I die cut it with my Big Shot with the little coordinating dies that go with the stamps. And I found that the little white outline around the edges of all of those pieces was so distracting. Like sometimes I like the white border because it really makes the image pop out. But when you're using a whole lot of them and placing them really close together, there you go. That's just me cutting the little slot in the toaster. There we go. When you use a lot of die cuts and they're all close together, I find that those white borders are really, really distracting. I don't like them nearly as much when I'm using a lot of them. So this is one of the reasons I wanted to make a really crowded counter scene. Was I really love crowded counter scenes. I used to collect little miniature food items and dishes called Rement, and I adored photography that was set up to make it look like a really messy counter that someone had just been cooking at or something. So this was kind of what I wanted to recreate with this card. So I'm just cutting down my paper here, and I'm using scraps and cutting down my paper. This is the brown, of course, is going to be my tabletop, and then the colorful papers are going to be my wallpaper, like the background. And I'm going to cut this little window that is going to give me a little frame. Now these are called, they're Lawn Fawn reverse stitched scalloped rectangle windows. And the thing about them is that they actually don't cut around the outside edge. They cut the inside scalloped edge. And so you have to already have your paper cut the size that you want it to be, which is basically the size of a card front. So that's why I cut that. I had a half a piece of paper already on my desk, and I just cut it into half again to give me 2 card fronts that I'm going to cut this border from. And so there we go. I keep my Big Shot on a Razcog now, and I love it like that. And I especially love being able to just kind of give it a toss and it rolls across the room out of my way. I get great satisfaction out of tossing my Big Shot across the room. Oh, I don't know why that is or what that says about me, but anyhow, I must have a aggressive side to me or something. So here I am just trimming off that border. I really just die cut that more for demonstration purposes, just to kind of show you all the rigmarole I would have had to have gone through if I had cut those with the dies, with the coordinating dies. So that's really cute. I think my toast is way darker than it needs to be, but that's okay. And I made that Pop-Tart kind of like a purple color, kind of by mistake. I don't have enough pinks to choose from, so then I just made the muffin kind of coordinate with the Pop-Tart a little bit. I didn't want too many random colors on this, especially with that really busy background pattern, which I ended up really not liking for a wallpaper. I thought it had a wallpapery feel to it, but I think it's too busy and competing a lot with all the stuff I have going on my cluttered counter. So I'm actually going to pick a different piece of wallpaper for my second card, but this is the one I'm going to use for this card. I really like how that looks. And now I'm just pulling from the second paper pad. This is from Capture Life from Echo Park. And this one looks a lot like wallpaper. Not the best color choice just because I already have so much of this color on the card already. I decided to make it look like a coordinating set of dishes. Like the plates are the same color and the butter dish is also that color, just to make it look like a set of dishes that a person would really have. And I'm just placing, I'd love to put the toaster over on the right side, but because the buttons are on the right, I didn't want it over on the right. I don't know, it probably would look fine over on the right. I just felt like it looks better on the left. I'm putting some dimensional adhesive. I use Stampin' Up! Dimensional adhesive. I really love that brand. And so I'm putting a couple of those dots on the back of the little tiny chick. What I love about Stampin' Up! Is that their dimensional adhesive comes in 2 different sizes now. And so if you have the little ones and the big ones, and then you can also cut both of those in half, you end up with 4 different options for just easy to grab dimensional adhesive. So here I'm using my Tombow Aqua adhesive. I think it's called Tombow Mono Aqua, and it's really great for gluing paper to paper. And that's what I'm doing here. So that's what I'm using. And I would have liked to have used my ATG for this, but I ran out of ATG and did not want to refill my ATG. So I'm going to make do with a whole bunch of other adhesive throughout this project so that I don't have to stop and refill. I probably would have been better off refilling, but anyhow. So as you can see, I'm just trying to make this look like a cluttered countertop. I feel like I probably could have had more variety in terms of the sizes of things. Like, I think that if I had looked a little bit harder, I might have been able to put like maybe the flower pot, like the flower vase from On the Mend, or just a couple of other things just to make my scene a little bit even more crowded with less counter space in between all of the items. But I like it. So this is score tape that I put on the back of that frame. And now I'm just trying to get it lined up, and it's tricky getting these lined up perfectly because the frame is exactly the same size as the card. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to trim off just a tiny little sliver from 2 different sides, 2 adjacent sides, so that then my card is just a little bit smaller than my frame, and that just makes it a little bit easier for me to attach it. While I've got my trimmer out, I'll just do the same thing to this one, just so that it's already just a tiny smidgen smaller. Again, I'm going to put the toaster over here, even though I feel like I'd really rather it be on the other side. And now I have this score tape in 3 different sizes, and you're going to see all 3 sizes here. I have it in 1/2 inch, 1/4 inch, and 1/8 inch sizes. It's really convenient. It's not quite as convenient as using a tape runner, but it's really super strong, so it's good for using on cards where cards get handled a little bit more. I'm going to put the little birdie, the little smaller one, on top of the toast, but where this toaster, the toast is coming out a little bit at an angle, I thought I'd make the bird look like she's kind of bounced off of the, like maybe she was on the toaster before the toast popped, and then the toast popped up and popped the bird up too, so that she's kind of flying out in the air there. And I put little wiggle lines around the toast and the bird just to give it a little bit of an idea of it being in motion or having just moved. And I'm just going to set this one up slightly differently. For both of them, I wanted the avocado kind of waiting beside the toaster as if it's going to be avocado and toast. Have a little bit of butter beside it too, and also have that salt and pepper handy. Because it's the avocado and toast that is in the process of being made, everything else there is kind of ready to go. I mean, the coffee cup is a little bit smaller than everything else, and that bacon and eggs is kind of too small too, but that's okay. I think next time I might use the frying pan from the Love and Breakfast set and kind of do a toaster. That has its own toaster set too, but I really like this toaster better. So I might do another go at this idea and try to make it even more cluttered next time. I have some photos of my remint on my Flickr account. I'll try to remember to leave a link in the information section so that you can see what I mean as far as what the inspiration was for this card. But I'm not the only one who's done this. There have been other YouTubers that I've seen just in the, like, whenever I want to use a Lawn Fawn stamp, I usually go to the blog and check out who's been, like, what other people have done with it. And I noticed that there were some videos of some crowded counter scenes. So this is the 1/8 inch score tape. It's perfect for putting these borders down. It's also great for using on the frame, the Lawn Fawn frames. So we just need to pull off, and that tape works a lot better if you just burnish it down a little bit. So I just ran my thumbnails over it before I tried to pull off the release paper, and the release paper comes off a lot easier then. So now I'm taking the middle of those of the frame because it's just white paper, and I need to put my sentiment on. This is actually my second try at a sentiment. The first idea, I don't know, I didn't really have an idea. I was just messing around and it didn't look right. So I've decided to use this stamp set and die set. It's called What Ya Sayin', and it's by Heffy Doodle, which is a company that I don't really have much of, but I really loved these little speech bubble sentiments. I often struggle with sentiments, so I thought having speech bubbles is kind of like a no-brainer way to add a sentiment to a card. You don't have to figure out where it goes, like it just goes above the critter, pointing to the critter, like it's pretty easy. So I stamped that with Pool Party Stampin' Up! Ink, and I thought it would be dry. And I stamped the outline with VersaFine ink in black onyx. And when I put the embossing powder on it, it also stuck to the whole colored, like the whole Pool Party part as well. So I just went with it. I thought, okay, whatever. It's going to be a little bit darker than it was when it was just stamped. And it's like pebbly. It's not shiny because I don't think like it wasn't wet enough to have a really nice coating of embossing powder on it, but it was, anyhow, it is what it is. And because I'm now stamping the sentiment onto a pebbly type of background, I had to stamp a couple of times to make it really show up. And it doesn't look all that crisp. And that's because it's a pebbly background because of the embossing powder and the Pool Party, it's Pool Party ink by Stampin' Up. Anyhow, I really like how it turned out. I feel like maybe I could have chosen a different color. I just was in a bluey mood today. So here we go. I think a different color might have been more of a contrast. Like there's already a lot of blue on this page already, especially the on this card already, especially the card that has the blue wallpaper. But anyhow, whatever. So now I'm back at my Big Shot Razzcog and I'm running that through. I don't think I included the footage for both of them. Oh, maybe I did. There you go. So there we go. All done that. And they die cut perfectly. And now you see that little white border. I'm actually going to leave the little border on these ones. If I didn't plan to leave the border on it, I would have just hand cut them, or maybe I would have cut it with my scan and cut. But I think a shape that simple, I probably would have hand cut. Anyhow, I like the white border because here, this sentiment is on a busy background in both cards. So the white border just helps it stand out a little bit, gives it a little bit more definition between it and the background. And so I like that. So for one card, the avocado is speaking, and for the other card, the toaster is speaking. The little chickies are silent in both cards. I really like those. So now this is my little drawer of card blanks. That's what I call them. They're basically blank cards that I have already cut to size and scored and folded. Then I grabbed 2 envelopes, 2 card inserts, which are just smaller than a card front, and 2 clear bags that I keep my cards in so that they don't get wrecked in the drawer where I keep them. All of my cards were getting wrecked from being like bumped into one another, and my kids go searching for them and they're not very careful. So I decided to start keeping all of my made cards in bags, and I really like that a lot better. So I just put my personalized stamp on the back. I have 2 personalized stamps and I couldn't decide which one to use, so I just used both of them there. 1 on each, no rhyme or reason. And now again, it probably would have been faster for me to just change the tape on my ATG, but I just didn't want to, so I'm using score tape for this too. These cards are not going anywhere, man. They're stuck for good because that score tape is super, super strong. Now I just want to embellish the card liners a little tiny bit, so I'm taking out my scalloped border punch, something that I haven't used in a while, and I thought about putting it there, but I'm going to end up putting it on the edge, like on the side instead of on the bottom. And then I just took a strip that wasn't scalloped and put it on the other card blank. Stamping one of the little chickies from the front of the card, and then I'll put them on the proper card. So the pattern paper inside coordinates with the pattern paper on the outside. So there we go. Everything is done now. Now all that I need to do is add my envelope and put them in their little baggies. And now they're ready to go into the drawer where they will be safe and clean until I use them. And here's the first one. I love those little salt and pepper shakers. They're so cute. And this card came together in about a day. I kind of worked on it off and on. Feel free to check out any of my other videos here. Most of my videos are scrapbooking process videos. I throw in a card every here and there when I get a chance. Take care and have a really great scrappy week. See you next time.